Welcome back, my lovely learners. Now we are going to look at customary units, conversions. So the same thought process as metric applies. If you start larger, your answer gets larger. So you've got to multiply. If you start smaller, your answer needs to get smaller, so you're going to divide. Again, we're working with that philosophy of whole numbers, right? So with customary, it's not as easy as just times 10 or divided by 10 or 100. It's not a power of 10. So we have to have these specific conversions for customary. This is why they're not as widely as used as metric because of the memorization of them. So I have this sheet for you. Sorry, it's not in pretty color like it is on my screen, but you'll get to watch it. So you're going to want this paper in front of you. Put your name on it. It says Customary Conversions on it. And we're going to fill just quick notes about different labels and then using those conversions that I have on this paper. So this is your cheat sheet for that. So if you look at my screen, you're going to write some things down on your paper together with me. And the first one is talking about length. So we have in this box right here where I'm pointing, you have feet and inches and yards and also miles. And you have your conversions of which one you're going to, which one's going to which. But let's talk about, because you need to know if you're multiplying or dividing, which one's bigger, which one's smaller. This I feel like you have more familiarity with than metrics, so it should help. So kind of your thought process here is I looked up a mile, and that would be like Westfield Intermediate School all the way to the Starbucks down by like past the Culvers and all of that, past the Monam. So this is considered a mile. So if you think about that distance, so let's label that, those are miles. And then your wingspan, as I call it, or not handspan, your wingspan, your arm span, is about a yard. So we've used yardsticks this year. So a yard. And then a foot, the name came because about the average size of a foot, the king's foot, if you will. And then this last one is about like, so your knuckle, on your knuckle, you have like, this is different parts of your knuckle. So underneath your fingertip, it's that first one. If you think about like your fingerprint, that would be like a good, so that's an estimated inch. So we're going to write inch there. So now you have your good determining factor of, am I starting with my larger one or not? So let's do an example here. We have some space like right above where it says yard. Let's say I'm going to say four yards. Okay. So if I wanted to figure out how many inches, or I'm sorry, how many feet that is, you first should ask yourself, well, is yards smaller or bigger than feet? So yards is bigger than a foot. So if it's starting big, it needs to get big, right? Getting big is multiplying, but it's not just a 10 this time like in metric. So we have to go over here and have to look at our conversions, yards to feet. So that conversion is using a 3. So 4 times 3, easy, that's 12 feet. Okay? So let's reverse it. If let's start with something with, let's do feet. So up above here, I have room. Let's say we have 4 feet. And in this case, I'm going to do the same one. I'm going to do yards. So if I wanted to know how many yards that was, this is where it gets interesting because it's not a power of 10. Feet is smaller or larger? Smaller. Going large. So if you start with a smaller, it needs to get smaller. It means you're dividing by that conversion. So you're dividing, oh, look at that, a fraction bar. Fraction bar means division. If I'm dividing by 3, it's just improper. And you can make it into a bigger mixed number. Some people, I know some of you guys like to still put it in a box, and I still want to think about it that way. You can really do that mentally. You can make this improper fraction into a mixed number. 3 goes into 4 one time. and then there would be how much left over, and that would be your fraction, right? So it would be 1 whole and 1/3. So 1 1/3 of a yard, 4 feet. Yeah, so you've got a whole yard and then a third of a yard left over. So it would be the same for any different conversion, using these different numbers in order to either divide or multiply. Okay, so that was custom. Now let's check out below that, and we're going to look at capacity. I added this image because I asked a few of you when you guys were doing your Alex lessons, like, have you seen the gallon man? Have you done the gallon man? And I feel like some of you have, either in class or STEM, or some of you, a lot of you guys said you hadn't. This is traditionally a very elementary thing that teachers have you like cut out and make, and it's kind of a silly thing. The gallon man, I never learned it, so I don't have that memorized. I have to think about things that I've used more in my daily life. So we have these that we can label. So underneath is, I think, what we're all very traditionally knowing. This is your gallon, right? So that's our largest. And then like this kind of Gatorade bottle, and maybe even like your Stanleys and stuff. But I don't know for sure without looking it up. This is a quart. So you should be writing gallon, you should write quart. That's our second largest. So like if you look at our gallon man, that's it takes 2 quarts to oh, I'm sorry, 4 quarts to make a gallon, because it's like its arms and then it has its leg pieces. Okay, so it would take 4 of those to fill a gallon. And then I did ice cream because it's a pint. It's a pint of ice cream. So write pint. Love pints of ice cream. And then like what you guys get in the cafeteria, your milk, that is considered a cup, like 1 cup. And then this one isn't on our conversion, but I still want you guys to know in this situation, liquid wise, it's an ounce. So like if a measuring cup, one of those little like medicine ones, that's like 1 ounce. Okay. So the conversions for these would be like, let's say I have, I don't know, 2 quarts. Okay. And I wanted to know how many pints that was. You would need to think, am I starting with the larger one or the smaller one? Quarts is larger than pints, so I need to multiply, make it bigger. Start big, make it bigger. So I'm going to multiply this by the conversion. So quarts and pints, I'm looking for quarts and pints conversion. There it is, 2, right? So that's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to use the 2. I'm going to multiply by 2, and it would be 4 of them. Okay? Let's try it. Let's write down another one there. I know there's not a lot of room. Maybe up at the top you have more room on your paper. I'm going to challenge you with this one. It's called a double conversion. You can totally do it. What if I have 2 gallons? Okay. That's abbreviation for gallons. And I want to know how many cups that is. We do not have a direct conversion that has cups and gallons. We have cups and quarts. We have gallons and quarts. And we can use that to figure out getting to cups. Okay. But still, first, are we multiplying or are we dividing? Are we starting with the larger to get large, or are we starting with smaller and it needs to get small? Starting with the larger, gallons, and going to small. So this is going to be starting large, get large. So we're multiplying. But here's the thing. We have to get, I don't know why I started writing it too. We have to multiply the gallons by what we do know. And as you saw, we can get to quarts first. So we can multiply this by 4 to then get the quarts, which would be 8 quarts. And then we can then transfer it quarts to cups by still multiplying it. And we would then multiply it by 4, because we're doing quarts then to cups. So 8 times 4 is then 32. Some people will do the conversion right then and there and go, okay, well, I know quarts and I know, and then I know the quarts to cups, quarts to gallons. So 4 times 4 that's going to happen twice. So it's really like you can add those 4 together and be like, I know I'm going to have to multiply that by 8. See what I mean? We multiplied that technically by 8. No, sorry. The 2 gallons, we multiplied it by 16 because 4 times 4 is 16, right? So some people will just, I'm not going to do 2 steps. I'm going to put this in 1 step. And because 4 times 4, let me spell it out for you, is 16 to get to the gallons, which is what we did in 2 steps. You could just do that in 1 step. In 16 times 2 is, right, 32. So when you do a double conversion, you can spell it out in the 2 steps, or you can double it up, like put them together and then do the conversion. That one was hard, but it is a 5th grade skill that you need to know. We'll practice it, I promise. Let's do one with division though real quick because we didn't see one with there. So let's squeeze that in. Let's do, what would have to divide? Start small, get small. So let's start with an ounce, okay? Let's start with 3 ounces, and I want to know how many cups that is. Do we have that conversion? Oh, we don't have that conversion. Rewind. Not ounces. That will come later when we do more of those. See, we don't on our gallon. We don't even have ounces. Let's start with pints, and then we'll go to quarts. So let's say we have 3 pints. 3 pints of ice cream. 3 pints. We'll see how many quarts that is. So starting smaller and having to get starting small, it needs to get small. So we are going to divide. But what do we divide by? We need our conversion. Pints to quarts. So here we are, 2 again. So we would have divided by 2, again, in an improper fraction. 2 can go into 3 1 time. Remember, I'm thinking of that division. And then there would be 1 left over, and it's still the same denominator. For those of you who like to see it with an actual division sign, which you don't have to do, since you can do that mentally, it goes in 1 time, and see how there's 1 left over, right? Out of 2. So you have a mixed number in that situation, okay? All right, that was capacity. So now let's go to weight. One of them we don't have on here, and this would be the truck. It'd be measured in tons. And then I think this is like a truck's like 3 tons. And then a water bottle like this is like a pound. So again, it's not liquid, it's we're going off of weight here. So pound. Abbreviation's LB. I don't know why. And then like a pinky eraser is like 1 ounce. Here's how you spell ounce. So write these in to label each of these. And then there's your conversion. So if I had, we have some room up here. If I had, let's do something larger, 12 pounds. And we wanted to figure out how many ounces that would be. Starting large or small, pounds to ounces. Starting large needs to get large. So we're going to multiply, but their conversion is going to tell us. We have to multiply by 16. So practicing all the skills that we've done so far this year. Multiplying 12 by 16 with me here, we would get 72, placeholder 0. This is hard to do on a computer. 2, it's like I'm doing Scratchpad for everything. All right, and then add those together. You have a total of 192 ounces. Yeah, all right. So ounces, you have liquid ounces and you have weight ounces too, okay? All right, let's move on. And last one that you should be all too very, very familiar with is our time conversions. So let's fill these in. And this one is kind of our visual for hours. And then this one actually has two kind of thoughts. You could consider this like months, right? And then also we can't forget about days. So we have months, we have days, and then we have a year. So our conversion for those, you should know them. And we don't get all fancy with leap years or anything like that. We are going to write down, so how many hours equal one day? Let's write these conversions. I didn't give you a box or anything. That should be 24 hours in one day. And then let's do months, but in a year. So how many months are in a year? You should have said 12. Just gonna put an M for months. And then let's do how many days are in a year. So again, no leap year or anything like that. And we say 365. And I should spell out the word days, but I'm out of room, so I'll sneak it in there. Days in a year. Okay? So those are our conversions for that. So if I wanted, same thing applies, multiplying or dividing. Start big, get big. Let's do how many days. Let's do hours and days. So if I have, this one's kind of easy, 3 days, right? And I want to know how many hours that is. So hours is more, days are longer than hours. So you have to multiply, right? Starting big, get big. So you're multiplying by the conversion of 24, right? So 24 times 3. I'm going to do a little mental math here. And all right, I won't for you guys. But you can. You can totally have done that one mentally. And then 72 hours. Okay? So still the same concept. Start big, get big. Start small, get small. But using those conversions. So these are harder to memorize. Not the time, but going back to the weights, the capacity, and then the length. So you're going to use those, and feel free to keep these out then for practicing. Okay? All right. Thanks for following along. Let's get to practicing.